I forgot. It was that in terms because it's online. When we have numeracy, you do not necessarily have to be on campus, but it depends on what you have planned for other subjects in the afternoon. Like for Wednesday, you have studio time. So what it means is you just don't have to be here in the morning for numeracy. If you are comfortable working from home and if you have a stable connection at home and you won't have trouble logging in and submitting assignments and all that, you're more than welcome to do that. But you have to be here maybe just in time for what you have planned next. So yeah, the idea of having computer lab and library here, it's for your convenience. So if you can't work from home for some reason, network, or you can't concentrate, you are more than welcome again to come to campus for online, not in studio. Find a computer, go into the computer lab or in the library, and then work on the assignments that are handed out. Check out the lecture slides that are uploaded, and yeah, basically just for your convenience. I had forgotten that part. Cool. Today we are doing measurements, and so let's start with measurements. So again, before we start, in line with the announcement that I made earlier, I am available for you guys to talk to me, ask questions, be it admin related questions or content related questions or relevance in terms of alignment with other lecturers. So just talk to me about what you need to talk to me about, or the preferred means of communication is email. Hence, my email is on there for you guys to email me if there's anything that you need to talk to me about. So look out for everything that we do in Blackboard. So measurements. Why do you guys think measurements are important? So if this was a face-to-face, I will be going around. So we will be brainstorming here to kind of figure out where you at in terms of your understanding of the importance of measurements. So because now this is online and it's a sort of a guided lecture, I just have to keep going. So measurements help us describe the world and everything in it. This is very important, not only in design. You guys are designers. You are most likely, more than 90% going to have to measure your products because you actually designers, you making products, you need to get acquainted with measurements. So you measure something, a product, because you want to answer a question of how much or how big or how long or how deep or how heavy, and the list goes on. In a common application, you use them to describe length, volume, weight, time, temperature, and many other. So if you want to build a table, you need to understand measurements, and you need to be accurate in terms of measurements. If you want to mount anything on the wall, if you're giving children medicine or you're taking medication yourself, uh, measurements apply almost everywhere. So you guys are not excluded. You need to know and be accurate, be precise. Like you are, for the most part, expected to be accurate in terms of measurements. That makes up a huge component of how marks are allocated. So practice, practice, practice measurements. So there are a variety of tools that you use for measurements depending on the field that you are in or depending on whatever you're making, as we just saw, as as little as administering medication. So again, at this point, it will be where we brainstorm again to kind of see where you at and discuss some examples of measuring tools that you are familiar with, and then a typical task that you will be given here, which can make up a component of a test or the brief that you're going to get. So it may or may not be in the brief, hint, hint. So you need to be familiar with the measuring tools. There are tools that are appropriate for specific type of measurements. For measurements to have a meaning, they have to have two components because, for instance, a number on its own doesn't say much. So for measurements to have a meaning, you will always need to have a value, which is the number, and then it goes with a unit, which tells you what you have. What you have in that, it could be, is it mass, is it length, is it a liquid? So for instance, you will have 200 meters. Instantly you would know this is length. 15 milliliters, it is a fluid. 13.98 grams, it's mass, it's weight. So in that way, measurements have meaning. That is very important for you guys to understand. So the units of measurement follow a standardized system. Like, to be relevant and consistent globally, we need to have a standard way of measuring. So for the most part, like majority of the world uses the metric system, which is this one here, and it's also called SI units, by definition, International System of Units, abbreviated SI. So metric system or SI units. Just next to it, I put the English units to show you the difference. So when you talk about length in the metric system, you will talk about meters, kilometers, millimeters, centimeters, and then in the English system it's the inch, foot, miles. So similarly for all this, so bear in mind we're using the metric system and not the English system. Reason being, majority of the world uses the metric system. The nice thing about metric system is that they are based on multiples of 10, which means you can convert back and forth between the units. For instance, if you're talking about length, you can convert 10 millimeters into 1 centimeter, and so the list goes on. If you talk about mass, again, you can convert back and forth. If you talk about volume or some liquid, you can again convert back and forth. This is it's very important to you guys. You need to practice this and be able to convert back and forth. And again, it may or may not be part of the first brief assignment that you're going to get, but it is very important, and it also links to your other subjects as well, because they mark you on accuracy of measurements. So be sure that you know how to convert back and forth. And then a tip: if you want to convert from a large unit to a small one, like centimeters are bigger than millimeters, so if you want to convert from that to that, you multiply. If you want to convert small to big, centimeters to meters, for instance, you divide. So just remember this as a tip to help you convert back and forth. Then to test whether you guys sort of understand this, and to just for me to establish where you at in terms of measurements, and this contributes for your marks. It's for assessment. So the first assignment, which will be on Blackboard, on measurements. So because like on a normal basis, assignments are due latest on a Sunday. Like how when we're meeting today, the due date will be on Sunday. But since I uploaded this late, I will give you guys a bit of time to work on the assignment just to make up for that time. And the importance of this brief is that it is intended to help you guys practice measuring accurately, so you can practice. It's a way of assessing how accurate you are in terms of measurements and your understanding of measurements as well, based on what we spoke about and relating to what you know already in the world that we live in. So this is important to you guys because again, in the other subjects, you are marked on accuracy of measurements. So that's the end of measurements. So in between now, or the time that you look at this, and the due date of the brief, as communicated earlier, I am available for you guys to talk to me and ask questions on this set of PowerPoint slides and the brief itself. So I won't give you answers, but I will guide you on what you need to do. Cool. That's the end of the lesson. Look out for the brief and the due date. Talk to me at any time. Cheers, guys.